Breaking news, a curfew is in effect right now in Jefferson City after widespread damage caused by that tornado. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joey Parker. Buildings are destroyed. Thousands of people are still without power. We have live coverage of it all. We're going to go straight to my co-anchor, Ashley Strohmeyer, who has been monitoring this since the storms swept through nearly 24 hours ago. Ashley?
Hi, Joe. Yeah, we're still here on the west end of Jefferson City where you just said that tornado did tear this place apart. But honestly, the cleanup crews and first responders have done an excellent job of getting it cleaned up very quickly. I was telling Lucas earlier, I'm almost as shocked as I was when I got out here last night as the mess that I saw and just the damage and destruction as I am now, because it's so clean and it hasn't even been 24 hours since that tornado touched down. Now, we are going to hear from Lucas here in just a little bit about Ameren and the power lines and more on that. But right now, we're going to go to ABC 17's Joe McLean, who is live on McCarty Street tonight. He has more details on the curfew that went into effect at 9 o'clock. Joe.
From Lafayette to Madison Street, from Stadium to the river. That is the area that is part of this curfew that has been implemented for about an hour now. I've seen city police from Jefferson City, but a lot of other cities. We saw a City of Fulton police vehicle. A lot of law enforcement resources are driving surrounding this area. Take a look at this area. Again, we are inside this curfew zone down McCarty Street. You can see those flashing lights down in the distance there. That's Jefferson City Police blocking off the intersection of McCarty. Across here, we are on the intersection of Jackson Street, just up the road where earlier this morning we showed you the power lines that are draped down in here. And then, of course, you see the darkness in this entire block. It continues up here, up Jackson Street. You can see this wide amount of damage, and all of this debris. Of course, we are being very careful, but of course, we heard from Mayor Turgeon about an hour ago that's really why they want to cordon off this area and keep anybody who doesn't have to be here out of this area for two reasons. One, so that utility workers and other safety officials can come in and continue to do their work overnight. But of course, the more important reason is safety. Take a listen.
There's so many hazards for people to be out in these areas, and so we have those boundaries just to make it easy so that we, keep the area safe and secure.
And of course, Mayor Turgeon tells us that curfew, the proclamation says it will be in effect until 5 a.m. tomorrow, and it will continue on a nightly basis based on the decision of the local police chief here. And we'll obviously continue to monitor this. Obviously, the recovery effort just getting underway. Right now, we'll send it back to ABC 17 News anchor Ashley Strohmeyer on the east side of town. Ashley?
All right, Joe, thank you. And right now, the Red Cross is looking for help and volunteers to help out with those recovery efforts in Jefferson City. ABC 17's Jasmine Ramirez is live at the Red Cross shelter set up at Thomas Jefferson Middle School. And Jasmine, more than 60 people have been getting food and clothing from that shelter.
Many of those people whose homes are destroyed will spend the night here at the shelter. As of right now, there are 74 people registered to stay at the shelter here in Jefferson City. There are also 2 more shelters in Eldon, and more than 100 people have visited those today. I was in Eldon this morning, and a large portion of the town had lost power. The executive director of the Red Cross says the power outage is crippling for the town. I'm told nearly every store and restaurant is closed, so people who have lost everything can't get food or any amenities. Tonight, I've been speaking with people who are visiting the shelter here in Jefferson City. One man tells me his 3-bedroom house is now comparable to the size of an outhouse. He says he didn't have time to get to the basement. When the tornado came through, his mother shielded him to try to protect him from the debris.
Before she could get me up out of the recliner, she had to get on top of me to keep the debris off the tornado was done coming through.
So she had to protect you?
Yeah. And the suction was so hard, It sucked her and I and the recliner straight forward up into the ceiling.
Right now, the Red Cross shelter here in Jefferson City has plenty of clothing donations. They are still needing monetary donations, and the easiest way to donate is online at redcross.org. Reporting live in Jefferson City, Jasmine Ramirez, ABC 17 News.
All right, thank you. And ABC 17's Lucas Geisler is joining me here in Jefferson City on Ellis Boulevard. And Lucas, you have updates from Ameren.
Yeah, Ameren, Missouri expects to have power back on to the Jefferson City area by Friday into Saturday. That's for the whole of Jefferson City, according to a post they made earlier today. Now, Michael May, the president of Ameren, Missouri, said that he expected 200 utility poles to have been broken in this storm last night. And those crews, hundreds of Ameren crew members have been in this area trying to get the power back up. The outage map right now shows 1,200 customers without power in the Jefferson City area as this repair goes on. Ameren says they hope to have some people back on with power by the end of the night. 20 outages, or at least 26 outages for Ameren right now. For Three Rivers Electric Cooperative, that number's actually gone down since we were on at ABC 17 News at 9. 20 outages, however, just one more customer received power. So they've got about 1,100 customers without power. The biggest one in Brazito, south of Jefferson City in Cole County, as they continue to work as well. I asked if they had a time estimate on when Three Rivers might see power back on in Miller County and Eldon, which also received lots of damage from this storm as well. She said that the damage was too widespread. Hard to put an estimate on it now.
All right, Lucas, thank you. And of course, Lucas is talking about power outages with Ameren, and Joe and Jasmine were showing us how there are different groups and emergency responders that are coordinating to help those that were devastated overnight. However, there are so many other people working alone or with neighbors to pick up the pieces. ABC 17's Mary Mangold spoke to one woman who's doing just that.
Seems like everyone is hard at work in Jefferson City tonight. We've heard several stories of neighbors helping neighbors. One woman told me that she was pulled out by neighbors from her home following the storm, and she still somehow manages to keep a sense of humor. Several homes on Stadium Boulevard in Jefferson City were leveled by the overnight tornado. But Amanda Morris managed to keep the jokes coming while she showed me around the extensive damage.
I did actually watch the back half of my house fall more off today. So that was super fun.
She was in her bathroom during the storm and watched as the walls around her flew away.
I could see into my bedroom and watched as I lost my roof. That's really nice when you have a gaping hole in your roof and you can actually see the tornado. It's beautiful. No, it's scary.
Entire rooms of the home gone. Trees were uprooted and slammed onto neighboring buildings. Even though it's not clear where she could call home next, Amanda is keeping her spirits high.
It's the only way it's going to work is to have a little bit of humor about it. I mean, I didn't lose my life. My kids are safe. And I have renter's insurance. So I'm adulting all over the place.
Obviously, the cleanup effort is ongoing. We've heard from several people about short-term plans where people are moving tonight and for the next several days. But it doesn't seem like anybody has a long-term plan or any idea when they could move back into their homes. In Jefferson City, Barry Mangold, ABC 17 News.
All right, Barry, thank you. And we will be back here later on in this newscast with another update on what's going on in Jefferson City after that tornado touchdown.
All right, Ashley, after severe weather last night, there is a chance for storms again. ABC 17 Storm Track meteorologist Kevin Schneider is in for the chief, Jessica Quick. And Kevin, nothing like what we had over the last 24 hours.
No, Joey, we're finally getting the official statistics from the National Weather Service on last night's storm. Thankfully, we're not going to be tracking anything in the way of severe weather, it looks like, into tonight. We still have a chance of picking up an isolated storm or two, but for the most part, I think a lot of us are going to be staying on the dry side of things here. Taking a look at some of the latest data pouring in later tonight into this evening. Again, we were rated at EF3, but the most important number, of course, was 0 fatalities and fairly low number of injuries, really considering how strong some of that damage was that, of course, Ashley Strohmeyer and folks down that direction have been tracking all day. But Getting you out the door right now as we head into your evening. 75 degrees out at Joe Motkins Toyota. It's a little bit muggy. We're really not seeing much in the way of radar here across much of the area, radar returns that is, but we are seeing some of those clouds starting to stream into some of our northernmost counties. Latest run of Future Track, though, continuing that drying trend across much of the area. Earlier this evening, we were seeing some of these lines of showers and thunderstorms starting to flare up here as we head a little bit closer toward that midnight time frame. You see there on the latest run, really not much to speak of, but we'll continue to track that here as we head into the next couple of hours. Keeping our eyes on that complex of showers and thunderstorms further northwest. That looks to be a little bit louder of a weather maker, but that's where that threat for more severe weather is going to really be residing. I think that best chance is further northwest, and I think it's going to be staying out of the viewing area. So that looks like some good news as we head into tonight. Getting you out the door into your Friday morning, 68 degrees. It's going to be a muggy morning across much of the area. Those dew point temperatures starting to rise here as that warm front continues to track through the area, and we're going to be topping out into those middle to even possibly upper 80s across the area, and going to be staying dry, so that is certainly some good news. But these river levels still coming up here over the next day or so. But back into Jefferson City, we're still about 6.5 feet short of where that record crest was set back in 1993, but it still could be one of historical significance across many river gauges around the area. A lot of us getting into the top 10 of those record high crests. So hopefully we can get some of those river levels to start to recede as we head into the next couple of days, but we do have those rain chances as we head really throughout much of the 7-day forecast. I'll take you through them coming up.
And after severe storms last night and earlier this week, flooding conditions around mid-Missouri continue to worsen. As you heard Kevin say, more rain is coming. Our Jefferson City crew shot some video of the Missouri River earlier tonight. Right now, we know Cedar City Drive is closed, along with Airport Road and Highway W. MoDOT crews have been also tweeting about closed roads. Highway 179 at Highway Z in Cole County is closed because of flooding. Here's a look at the MoDOT traveler map right now, showing multiple roads are also closed while crews are picking up debris.
And we are still live on Ellis Boulevard in Jefferson City, where a tornado ripped through this area last night. We'll have more updates and information on that story for you coming up next.
And we're tracking much more rain here as we head into some locations. I'll tell you where to expect some of the heavier rain in mid-Missouri coming up.
In depth tonight, this past November, Missouri joined 32 other states that approved medical marijuana. Despite state law, it is still illegal in every form on the federal level. Now, that complicates the medical treatment of some of the very people medical marijuana was supposed to benefit: military veterans.
They increased my medicine again, and I was on, at that time, one doctor called it a life-threatening dose. I was on 360 oxycodone a month. And then they give you all the supporting medicines to go along with that, like one for sleep, one to keep you up, and one for your mood. And so, you know, you end up with just a big grocery bag full of medicine every month.
This disabled Air Force veteran says he currently uses marijuana for medicinal purposes. As he wants to remain anonymous since marijuana is still illegal to use in Missouri, we'll call him Mike. Amendment 2 was approved by voters with the promise of tax revenue from marijuana sales benefiting veteran services. But veterans who live in any of the state's 7 veterans nursing centers, including the one in Mexico, will not be allowed to medicate with marijuana. To many, it seems paradoxical that some veterans will not be able to take advantage of a program designed for their benefit. Mike's wife, whom we'll call Maggie for the purpose of her privacy, is a disabled Army veteran. She says as a healthcare professional, she rejected all illicit drugs and followed the doctor's orders. Maggie says she too got upside down in her prescription drug treatment for multiple sclerosis.
I was taking a lot. I was taking the medication for the MS, which was an injection, and I had reactions to it. I was taking in one day about 30 pills and an injection. And I said, I can't do this anymore.
So Mike finally convinced Maggie to try marijuana.
And I took a puff of it, was able to get some in, and all of a sudden my body just started to relax.
States.
A study published in the Journal of Psychoactive Drugs in 2014 showed patients with post-traumatic stress disorder experienced a 75% decrease in their symptoms using medical marijuana. The study did say further studies are needed, and there was also a danger of addiction or misuse with self-medicating patients. Are there any solutions to the conflict of federal and state laws? In the search for that answer, I repeatedly asked for interviews with various leaders from the Missouri Veterans Commission and finally had to settle with an emailed statement. It reminded that the federal government considers marijuana a Schedule I controlled substance, and unless there's a change in federal law, the veterans' homes may not permit the use of medical marijuana as it would be considered a drug offense and would prevent the home from receiving money from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. I also wanted to report to you whether or not a privately run Veterans Assistance Center will allow residents to use medical marijuana. I asked for an interview with the operators of Welcome Home in Columbia. A representative said Welcome Home does not have a response or position on this issue. The States Act is a bipartisan bill that would effectively end the federal government's prohibition of marijuana and leave the issue up to the states. As far as our federal delegation on support of the States Act, Senator Roy Blunt's office says he hasn't read the bill. Senator Josh Hawley sent this statement saying that he supports the will of the voters and is supportive of medical marijuana as long as there are protections. Two Mid-Missouri U.S. representatives didn't respond to my request for a comment. Both disabled vets in this report say it should be left up to the states and say the VA should be able to recommend and even prescribe medical marijuana. Maggie is also a nurse.
If a veteran is in a long-term facility and feels like marijuana could help them relax, I think they should be allowed to have it.
Now, those vets say they may actually not apply for a medical marijuana certificate from the state because they're both gun owners, and marijuana would affect those Second Amendment rights. I posted an extended interview with a couple on our website. You may find it fascinating at abc17news.com.
And as we head into tonight, again, those temperatures going to struggle to cool off much here across really a good portion of the area, with the lone exception, looks like, of making down to those upper 60s. I think a lot of us going to be bottoming out, into those mid to upper 60s across much of the area. So it's going to be a bit of a mild night across the area with plenty of moisture to go around. These dew point temperatures are really going to be the key reason why we don't cool off too much. Temperature's not going to get much below 67 here into Columbia, so that's about as cool as we can manage across the area. Really, a lot of us, those mid to upper 60 dew points across the area, plenty of moisture to go around. We're seeing some of those high-level clouds, again, continue to stream into the area, but nothing showing up in the way of returns on radar, so that is certainly some good news. I think a lot of us, as I mentioned before, probably staying on the dry side. That best chance at picking up a stray storm or two is going to be north of Interstate 70, as we see another mild night across the area. Those mid to upper 60s holding on pretty well as that warm front continues to lift to the north. It's going to turn those winds out of the south. Again, really not picking up those winds, just changing that direction. That's going to be pumping in some of that moisture. That's really kind of going to be the story as we head into this Memorial Day weekend. We're going to be tracking some rain chances on and off pretty much every day, but we're also going to see an upper level ridge want to try to build in, and that's going to be trying to limit some of these rain chances. So if we're rooting for dry weekends, you want to root for that upper level ridge to really start to take hold, but that's going to warm us up though, if it can certainly do that. Here's the latest run of Feature Track. Again, you see those best chances of rain going to be residing northwest. That's that upper level ridge trying to push back some of that moisture and really kind of keep our weather quiet as we head into the next couple of days. But you see that stalled boundary really draped across much of the area. So we're going to be seeing the focus at least hanging around for those shower chances as we head throughout the weekend. The best chance at staying on the dry side throughout much of the day is going to be on Monday, it looks like, here on the latest run of Feature Track. And adding up all of this rain, here's the first batch that we could be picking up about 1.5 inches in some of our northernmost counties. Further northwest, you can see those brighter colors just above that banner. That's where we're going to be picking up some of the heaviest rainfall in northern portions of Missouri. That's eventually going to be making its way back into the Missouri River. So that is ultimately not good news. It may be good news in the short term if you have any of those outdoor plans planned this weekend, but it's going to be adding up as we head into the next couple of days. It'll take a little bit of time to get down the Missouri River, but eventually we'll have to deal with it. But we're going to continue to track that along with those river levels and those storm chances as we head into this weekend, Joey.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Let's take a look at crews. This is a live look at their restoring power in Jefferson City after nearly 24 hours since that tornado. We'll go to the ground once again with my co-anchor Ashley. 8 years to the day after Joplin's EF5 catastrophic tornado, Jefferson City gets hit by an EF3. Eldon has its own tornado. And despite the few minor injuries and millions of dollars of damage, Ashley Strohmeyer, Mid-Missourians know this could have been so much worse, but there's still plenty to be done in the wave cleanup, right?
Yeah, Joey, and right now 1,200 Ameren customers are without power because of that tornado. Ameren expects to have that power back on Friday into Saturday. MoDOT is also warning of closed roads downtown Jefferson City because of water, specifically Missouri Boulevard and McCarty. Now, those are the areas, and that, of course, has to do with the northern part of Jefferson City that we were covering very extensively before this tornado hit last night. And of course, if you missed any of our coverage, we have had wall-to-wall coverage. Essentially, we did it all morning at least. If you missed any of that and you want to get back up to date or catch up with what we did, all of it is online at abc17news.com. You can also download our ABC 17 News app, and that's a very helpful tool as well, especially when the power goes out. For now, reporting live in Jefferson City, Ashley Strohmeyer, ABC 17 News.
Ashley, thank you. Sports Director Andrew Kaufman has sports next.
Sports Zone starts now. Sponsored by U.S. Cellular.
The high school state track meet this weekend has been moved away from Adkins Stadium due to the severe storm damage from last night's tornado. Class 5 will now be at Battle High School. Class 4 will be at Washington High School, and Class 3 will be at Mizzou. They all start on Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now here's a look at some of the damage. The roof of the press box at Adkins Stadium was flipped off. The brand new scoreboard is now bent. There was lots of debris all around the stadium. Earlier today, several Jeff City track athletes spent time cleaning up Adkins Stadium. We had the chance to catch up with Jeff City Athletic Director Aaron Earlywine. He says he will not know an exact dollar amount of the destruction for a few weeks.
It's significant. You know, we just erected a $500,000 scoreboard, and it's bent, and a lot of the equipment that we housed in our press box got soaked because the roof of our press box was ripped off. And so this is the beginning of a lot of work and reconstruction for not just Jeff City High School, but our whole community.
And moving on, Sophie Cunningham has made the Mercury's final roster. The former Tiger star is one of 12 players to make the team for Phoenix. Cunningham has been lighting it up in the preseason, scoring 19 points in 2 games. She even hit a game winner in the Mercury's last game against Seattle. The mayor of Columbia has her regular season debut on Saturday. Phoenix will face the Storm on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. and you can watch that game live on ABC 17. Cunningham is one of 4 rookies to make the final roster. Mizzou softball player Callie Martin will transfer from the program. That, according to Gabe DeArmond from PowerMizzou.com. Martin started all 55 games for the Tigers this past season. The sophomore batted .237. Martin had 3 home runs and 18 RBI. And finally tonight in girls soccer, Southern Boone's season comes to an end in the Class 2 quarterfinals. Visitation Academy in St. Louis gets the best of the Lady Eagles 4-0. Still a great season for Southern Boone. And that is a look at sports.
We'll see you on ABC 17 News this morning.